Thank you.
So I'll start with myself. Rachel Anger is here. Cindy Bird,
Here.
Kathy Calhoun,
Here.
John Kalila,
Here.
Kenny Curley,
Here.
Pam Delco.
Hang on a second. I didn't hear my name. I heard a child.
Pam Delabar.
I'm here.
Thank you. Kathy Dunham,
Here.
George Eichenhauser,
Here.
Yukiko Hayata. Hayata-san, not here. Carol
No.
Krasnowski. Here. Rich Maston,
Here.
Steve McCullough,
Here.
Melanie Morgan,
Here.
Brian Moser,
Here.
Pam Moser,
Here.
Sharon Roy,
Here.
Howard Webster,
Here.
Daryl Newkirk,
Here.
Eileen Tartaglia,
Here.
James Simbro,
Here.
and Shelley Perkins.
Here.
We have Gavin Cow,
Here.
Eva Chen,
Here.
Matthew Wong.
Here.
And we'll circle back. Is Hayata-san on the call? Okay, we have a quorum. I'll turn it back to you, Mr. President.
Great, thank you. Everyone received Rachel's updated combined report today. And as you see on the screen, we have our agendas. Is there any objection to the agenda as printed?
It's Rachel. I think we do have some changes.
Okay,
I have my hand up, Daryl.
okay. Go ahead, Pam, you first.
I would like to take the yearbook and publications report in executive session. There are some portions of it that comments would be under executive session in 2006. They would remain so today.
Okay,
So
are you'll need to make that motion and it will require 2/3 vote.
correct. I so move.
Okay,
George seconds.
okay. Is there any discussion on taking the publications report into closed session? Is there any objection to taking the publications into closed session? Okay, hearing no objection, that portion of our agenda item will be moved into closed session. Thank you, Pam. Go ahead, Rachel.
That was the only one I was aware of. We did have one that was pulled, agenda item number 18. Sorry, 19 is pulled,
Okay. Okay,
withdrawn.
all right, withdrawn. Thank you. Any other additions or corrections to the agenda? Okay, without objection, the agenda will now become our orders of the day. Okay, Rachel, you're next on with item number 2.
We have some online motions that are coming on the screen for ratification. I broke them out into 2 separate sections. So they're presented a little bit differently. The first batch needs to be
Sorry.
does not need to be ratified, although I did have a question. We had the 2 executive committee motions, which were unanimous with the executive committee. My question is if those need to be moved into the motions that require ratification by the board.
Shelley, I think they do not need to be ratified by the board, since the board has given the executive committee the power to act when the board can't meet, but I'll let Shelley make the ruling.
Although that's true, Daryl, you do actually have to ratify an executive committee decision that was made in between meetings. It does need to be ratified.
Okay, that's fine. So is it not effective until it's ratified?
it is effective, but then it needs to be ratified to continue in effectiveness. I mean, that's kind of the way the New York attorney explained that.
Okay,
So we
All right.
will wave our magic wand over motions number 2 and 3, and I will move those into the chart that says motions that require ratification.
okay,
With my motion that we ratify items number 2 and 3 on the online motion chart.
okay.
George,
Rachel
second.
second.
All right. I'll take George's second. I heard it first. Is there any objection to the ratification of the executive committee motions that were carried, number 2 and 3? All right, hearing no objections, those are now ratified.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, next on the agenda is a judging program. Rachel,
Before
that's
we
you.
do that, I would like to move that we ratify the October 2020 board meeting minutes.
Okay,
Carol seconds.
thank you, Carol. Is there any discussion? Which month was it again, Rachel?
The
October.
October 2020 board meeting minutes.
Okay, all right. So Rachel's made the motion. Carol has made the second. Is there any discussion on approving the October 2020 board meeting minutes? Okay, hearing no objection, the minutes are approved as printed.
Thank you. And the next one, we're moving on to judging program. Is that correct?
Okay, that's number 3. Yes.
And as liaison, I would like to turn it right over to, I believe Ellen Honey has the first subcommittee report to present.
Let me get
Okay.
Ellen in.
And you might as well
Okay.
go ahead and put Ann and Vicky in.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Can everybody hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead, Ellen.
Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. I hope everybody had a decent Thanksgiving considering the restrictions we've all kind of been under. But I want to thank the Board of Directors for allowing me to present our judging program report for the applicants, trainees, and advancing judges. The first item up for discussion and an action item is to adopt the change in wording for the judging rule 6.2b. Because there were many iterations of the rule changes, the correct change in wording on 6.2b should have been to align with section 6.2a. In the minutes from the October 2020 board meeting, it is clear that the intent of the rule change was to reflect the same changes to align with the requirements for the first specialty. Inadvertently, the rule only changed the second paragraph regarding the mileage. Therefore, the corrected wording is as you see it in the proposed wording that 6 color classes and 200 cats were to be accomplished just as first specialty trainees. I ask you adopt the change to rule 6.2b as was intended and to be effective immediately.
And
Thank
Rachel will make a standing motion for the judging program motions.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. We need a second.
Kenny
George
will second. Kenny seconds.
Okay, Kenny, you came through the loudest and the clearest.
I have the biggest mouth.
All right. So is there any discussion on this? This is pretty much a housekeeping issue. It was just not clearly marked out and everything in October. So Melanie Morgan,
My
your
hand-
hand is up.
Yep. I just note that it isn't entirely a housekeeping issue. In addition to removing the requirement for solo assignments, they're deleting the recommendation for large 2-day shows for the last 2 assignments. And as far as I can see, the way that it was approved, we had it at 6 assignments and 200 cats. We simply had broken it out as 3 supervised and 3 solo. Under the newest suggestion, there is no requirement for solos.
Can I, let me respond to that. Actually, when I looked at the rule, the way it came across and the way I saw it in the report, the lining out of the minimum of 8 and underlining 6 breed division color classes was not there. And I wanted to make sure that there was not a confusion about that. So this is why it's being brought forward today. It's being cleaned up. And yes, we did take out the strongly recommended that these shows be large full 2-day shows. It's the same thing for First Specialty. We don't have very many large 2-day shows anymore. However, and especially in this period of time, and I'm not blaming everything on COVID. I just think that whatever shows these trainees do, they still have to have a minimum number of cats and a minimum number of shows. So I think that will serve in and of itself to take care of any issues about whether they're big shows or small shows. Most of our trainees, as they start out, are going to be doing a lot of small shows anyway.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. Melanie, you have any other comments? No, okay. Rachel, I saw your hand up briefly. Did you want to add a comment?
Ellen hit the highlight I was going to make, so we're good.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there any other debate on this motion? Okay, so we have Rachel moved, and I think Kenny was a second. Is there any objection to the motion?
Yes.
Okay. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, so the yes votes are George Eigenhauser, Kenny Curley, Brian Mosier, Carol Krasnowski, Pam Delabar, Rich Maston, Cindy Bird, Rachel Anger, Kathy Calhoun, Steve McCullough, and Pam Mosier. Okay, if you'll take your hands down.
Daryl, I don't believe my hand is not up. If it is, this is Kathy. It should not be.
Did I call your name?
You did.
I think it's Kathy Dunham that you're wanting, Daryl.
Oh, is it? Okay. All right. Maybe it's my bifocals not working. Okay. All right. So change Kathy Calhoun to Kathy Dunham. All those voting no, please raise your hand. So the no votes are Kathy Calhoun, Melanie Morgan, Sharon Roy, and John Kalila. So Hayata's not here, 17. I think I counted 11-4. Did someone not vote?
I don't have a vote from Howard Webster.
Okay.
I don't have a hand to put up on this one.
Okay. So how's your vote, Howard? Are you in favor of the motion or opposed?
Favor.
Okay. So Howard is a yes. So that I know that's 12 yeses. So if you'll announce the vote, Rachel.
Sure. We had 12 yes votes, 4 no votes of those in attendance.
Okay. Thank you so much. The motion is agreed to. All right, Ellen, do you have another item or is that all for you?
Just a little bit of discussion about the alternative application program.
Okay.
That's my number 2 on my agenda. This will be ready for the February board meeting to be implemented. I've discussed how to bring it back to the table with Melanie Morgan. We did discuss that actually today, and we both agreed that it would be brought back in its entirety so that the entire process can be ratified by the board at that time. I will be asking that it be effective immediately, and so that anyone wishing to apply to the program under the alternative application process will be able to do so.
Okay.
And then we have some other happenings. We're making some minor changes to the forms for the initial regular application to reflect the changes to the rules. And we're working again on the club evaluation form. I think every JPC has worked on this to make it a bit more concise. The clubs are giving us a little bit of trouble. It's too long, it's this, it's that. I think it's fine, but Marilee Griswold is actually working on that for us. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Okay. You get some advancements in closed sessions that will be brought up at
Yes,
that
I
point
do.
in time.
Uh-huh.
And Aline, could you send Ellen the link to the closed session?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So next, I think, is Vicki Nye.
Hi, I wanted to announce the retirement request of Karen Lawrence, effective December 31st, 2020. And I wrote up a little bio of Karen's achievements and all the things that she has done for CFA. It's amazing how much she was involved in the early days of CFA's web and managing that. And of course, now with the foundation and the museum. She had 25 years of judging with CFA, and I would like to publicly thank Karen for her years of dedication to CFA.
Okay. Thank you. And Alan, can you scroll up a little bit because I think there's a motion. Okay, an action item. And Rachel has a standing motion, and the action item is to accept with regret the retirement of Karen Lawrence effective December 31st, 2020. I need a second.
Second, Delabar.
Okay, thank you, Pam Delabar, for the second. Is there any discussion? Is there any objection to the action item? Okay, hearing no objection, the action item is agreed to. Thank you so much, Vicki. You got a little bit more here to give, I think.
Yeah, just the table on the guest judging approvals. I just want to make note that this is rather a moving target. As I approve these guest judging assignments, then I find out that somehow they've been canceled. So in the first table, CFA judges judging for other associations, including US associations. All three TICA shows were, let's see, which one? The first two TICA shows were canceled. And the third TICA show, which is Hope Ganano's, that's a replacement for another TICA show that she had. Also, the judging approvals for non-CFA judges. Satu did the first show on 10/18, and then she ended up being the replacement for the second judge, which was, trying to think of who that was. Anyway, Satu was approved last time. Satu did the second show also as a last minute replacement for Sophisticat Cat Club. And then this last weekend, we had the first ACFA judge at a last minute approval to be able to judge Frontier Feline Fancier's show on 11/28.
Okay. And the reports I got back from that show is that Merlene did okay. Merlene's the president of ACFA, by the way. Anything else, Vicki?
No, except for the stuff that I have for closed session.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to China Associate Committee. Ann Mathis, is she on?
Yes, I am.
Good deal, Ann. You're on.
First, I would like to thank the board for your willingness to pass the motion that allowed those judges to start judging. From all reports I heard, they did a fabulous job at that first show, and we're looking forward to seeing them do more. I obviously don't need to read this, but if anybody has any questions about the associate program, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, I don't see any hands going up, Ann.
I have not gotten evaluation forms back from that first club, and I'm guessing that that's going to be an issue because they have to do up to 10 evaluations from one show. So we're talking, Ellen and I have talked about really simplifying that form for this purpose, because we do need evaluations back in case they want to come into the regular program at some point.
Okay. All right, thank you so much, Ann.
Yep.
Is there anything else from the judging program, Rachel, that's an open session?
That's it. I just want to thank everybody on the committee. Lots of hard work goes into it. This time we had a briefer report, but still lots of work behind it. So thank you guys. Great teamwork.
Good deal. They do work well together. That's very complimentary of them. Okay, we'll move on to order number 4, which is the central office report.
Okay. First item about the annual meeting for 2021 is basically informational. We, just to cover all bases, we did talk with the hotel about what would be involved and if we could cancel the contract. And at this time, we would have a monetary penalty to pay. Should things change and we decide that we do have to do something along those lines, they would be more likely to entertain that likelihood probably around February or March. But in the meantime, we will be signing an addendum soon to reduce the amount of meeting space and also the amount of food and beverage and the amount of guest rooms, because our assumption is that if we do have the annual meeting, it just won't be as well attended as in past years. White pages. This is an action item. We've been producing a hard print copy, also digitally. The digitally one we update on a regular basis. We do not have sponsorship dollars to help cover the cost this year. And it's been suggested that we just go to an all digital format for white pages and we don't print it. So I'm just putting that motion out there as an action item for discussion or consideration
Okay.
to
we need-
eliminate the printed version.
Sure. Okay. You want to take care of that now?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Need
please.
somebody to make that motion for central office?
Well, I think we have some
Or-
questions on the motion.
Yeah.
Yep, sure.
Okay. Well, I know, but we need to make the motion, and once we get the motion, then we can debate it.
Kenny will
Okay.
make that motion.
Okay,
well,
Kenny,
what-
make,
But
Dave
the,
second.
but the motion is flawed.
okay, well, we can, I haven't stated it, so what needs to be amended, Rachel?
Thank you. The motion talks about eliminating the print version of Cat Talk.
Oh, I'm
And-
sorry, white pages.
And
Yeah, it's
right,
white pages. It's white
eliminating the
pages.
white pages.
Kenny,
Yes.
Kenny makes a motion to eliminate the printed version of white pages and publish only the digital version.
Steve second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. So Melanie Morgan, your hand's up, you're recognized.
Thank you. I do agree that we should unbundle the white pages from Cat Talk, but I'm not in support of eliminating a printed version. Rather than delete the hard copy completely, I'd like to look at it as a cost of doing business, and I prefer to see it distributed in a different way. For example, we could distribute it to breed council members, which serves not only to provide the information in a hard copy, which I think is important, but gives value added as an incentive for breed council memberships. And that's something we've been looking to do for a while. As some of you will remember, we've talked about in the past years gone by when we used to have the almanac and the minutes were in the almanac. That was one of the benefits that breed council members got. And it was one of the reasons that some of them, not all, but would feel that they were getting some value for their membership. This would be a way of kind of reinstating something like that.
Okay, is there any other debate?
I do have a comment about that.
Okay, go ahead, Ally.
That increases the cost of the white pages rather than trying to maintain costs by mailing it out to perhaps 600 or 700 more people. I'm not sure how many breed council members are already subscribed to Cat Talk, which white pages is a part of, but I think we'd want to look a little bit more closely at that to see how many more people we would be sending the hard copy to before we move in that direction.
Okay, thank you, Eileen. Rich Maston, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I am in full support of this. I think we're in a time where we should go to digital on some things. And this is one of those things that I can see is it's time that we go ahead and do this and save the dollars for other purposes. I understand Melanie's position that this is a cost of doing business, but it's a cost of doing business of an item that we probably don't really need. The minority would use a printed copy, the majority would use a digital copy. And I think we need to move in this direction.
Okay, Kathy Calhoun, you're recognized.
Yes, I as well, I support eliminating the print version of the white pages. And I do have one question for Aline. If she received any feedback from people who actually sponsored the print version and why they are no longer interested in doing that.
Well, it was part of the full package with Royal Canin. And when they dropped their support of the international and other things, that was just part of the package. I didn't specifically ask them about the white pages.
Okay, so
But
you didn't really. Okay.
No, and in general, there's maybe 600 printed, so it does not have a large distribution for someone to sponsor it. I'm not sure it's worth their return on investment for the small number of people that it reaches.
You said that there was 600?
About 600.
George Eigenhauser, you're recognized.
Yeah, I have a question. When we go to a purely digital format, will it still be in the same format it is now, a printable PDF, so that people that want hard copies can print them out locally? Or is it going to be like a web page that you have to reformat to fit it onto something?
No, it would still be the PDF version, just like it is now, the digital. Basically, what we would be saving is the printing and the mailing of the item. We'd still have the actual production of it to prepare it to look pretty.
Believe it or not, I routinely print out a couple of copies for people I know that just don't do digital. And so as long as it can be printed locally, I can take care of those.
Yep, sure is.
Great. Thank you. Carol Krasnowski, you're recognized.
Yes, I think it makes sense to go digital on this because, for one, there aren't that many copies distributed to begin with. Secondly, the digital version is updated on a regular basis, whereas the print version is often out of date shortly after it's mailed out. So there is definitely an advantage to doing the digital, and as long as it can be printed at will, then I think it's fine.
Great, thank you, Carol. John Kalila, you're recognized.
I support this too. I myself download the prior versions of the white pages. I have all the way down to 2017. If I need something, I can find it. Sometimes people are not on the current one. I have to go back to the older one to find people's address. And for me, it's very helpful by a digital copy.
Thank you, John. Kathy, your hand is still up. Do you have another comment?
I do. I just wanted to also add that based on the number of copies that we print, being 600 at approximately $5,000, that's $8.33 a book. That's a quite expensive publication. I am definitely in favor of the digital version. Thank you.
Okay, any other debate? Kathy, you and John still have your hands up. Okay, seeing no hands up, let's call the question. All those in favor of Kenny's motion to eliminate the printed version of the white pages and publish only a digital version. Raise your hand if you're in favor of it.
I am.
Okay, Howard, we'll start out with Howard as a yes. Rachel Anger, Carol Krasnowski, Cindy Bird, Steve McCullough, Sharon Roy, Rich Maston, Pam Delabar, John Kalila, Kathy Dunham, Kathy Calhoun, Pam Mosier, Kenny Curley, and George Eigenhauser. You got those recorded, Rachel?
I do.
Okay, if you'll take your hands down, all those opposed, raise your hand. Okay, so the no votes are Melanie Morgan and Brian Mosier.
Okay.
And Rachel, will you announce the vote?
There are 14 yes votes, 2 no votes, 0 abstentions.
Okay. All right, so the motion is agreed to.
Thank you, everybody. So starting with the next issue of White Pages, which I believe comes out with the February edition of Cat Talk, it will be digital. So a printed one will not be included with the printed version of Cat Talk.
Okay.
So thank you. Next item is a producer who has approached us about participating in a video production. I believe it's kind of like a mini series. We've been approached about participating in this type of thing before. The difference with this one is the individuals are very familiar with the cat fancy. In fact, the person who first promoted it to the producers in Spain is an owner of a national winning cat. His name is Antonio Crespo Moreno. He had the 25th best cat in region 1 through 9 in 2018, 2019. It was a red Persian, Boberan, Alonzo of Cardassia. So he has really educated the producers, and they're looking to do a very positive type of production. They're not looking for money from us. They're looking for our assistance, helping them with access to breeders, exhibitors, judges, etc. I'm not sure, did everybody see the PDF of the presentation that they had sent? It's real quick. It'd take like 2 or 3 minutes for you to take a look at, if I can share my screen with you, just so you
Sure.
can get an idea of what they're trying to accomplish, and see if you want us to continue talking with them about this. They're really excited about this opportunity. Let me just go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So here's their thought. This is what they want to promote, and they're looking to promote it to Netflix, Disney. Let me just go ahead and scroll up. Whoops, sorry. So they know it's the hobby. They're familiar with the cat fancy. And as you can see, they want to show the passion of the exhibitors, dedication, the personality of the cats, and all the things that go into a show, tension, nerves, competition, everything that we deal with on a regular basis. And for instance, they're talking about, secrets. I mean, it's a TV show, so they have to kind of build hype and get excitement. The format, now it's interesting, they use the word follow 5 of the most peculiar and representative exhibitors for a year. I wouldn't say peculiar is the right word, but they are from Spain, so there was a little bit of language issues there. I think they want people who are unique and fun, that would be entertaining. And here they would talk about the history of the cat. So it's not just about the cat shows, but they want to talk about cats in general. Get interest about breeders and CFA in general. They'll follow the competition. They're going to promote it to Netflix. They'll have exhibitor profiles from the five different regions. So it's not just a US-based show. They're looking to include people from all over the world. Now these are people that they've started putting this together. They're using people that they're familiar with. They could get pictures of. It doesn't mean it's set. We have input to this. This is just for an example to give you an idea. I'm sure that I'm not familiar with all these people, but I'm sure everybody else is. And again, these are the judges that they have started with, but this is not set in stone. And that's their basic presentation. Desiree and I had participated in the Zoom conference with them, and this was part of their presentation. So let me go ahead and get rid of that. Whoops, wait a minute. So what I'm looking for is, does the board want us to continue talking with them? Do you have interest in this? Do you have interest in this? So I don't have an actual motion. I'm just looking for some guidance.
Okay, Pam,
Oh, sorry.
Pam Delabar, you're recognized.
Yes, I was talking with Manuel Ordonez, who is Antonio's partner. Actually, Manuel is the journalist and was pitching this idea. They're actually talking about 10 to 12, what they call chapters, but would be different shows. I think this is exciting. If you all remember, we had back at one of our Houston internationals, the group from Brisbane, Australia, had followed the Eisenbergs, had followed the Lawrences, and I forget some of the others that they had followed, somewhat the same format. And it was cool. It was really, really good. And I think that this group, a lot has happened. We have gotten a little bit more sophisticated. I think that they're going to come up with a really good product, especially they're talking about Amazon, Netflix, and Disney. So I hope we can go for it. If we need a motion to continue to search this out and develop it, then I would be more than happy to take it from there and make the motion.
Okay, Pam, somebody want to second Pam's motion?
Rich will second.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Melanie Morgan, you're recognized.
Hi, I actually had my hand up about something earlier in the report, but I kind of want to echo what Pam just said. I think this looks fabulous and like a huge opportunity for us. So I'm strongly in support of us continuing on with that. But I did have some other questions on the central office report, Elaine, if you don't mind. I mean, I can do them later if we want to finish this discussion.
Let's finish this motion and then we can go back to you, Melanie.
Got it.
So, okay, Rich Maston, you're recognized.
Yeah, I don't want to have to restate what Pam and Melanie said, so I just agree with their points. But I do have a question or a comment for Aline that she could help address. In your report, Aline, you said they would like our collaboration to gain access to the breeders. What does that mean in terms of providing win-win contact, personal contact information directly? Is that what you're referring to, or is it a one-on-one introduction at an event? Because if it is a contact of their personal information, if there is a group of people that is being recommended, I'd like to see that central office get their permission before they go ahead and give that contact information to them directly.
Absolutely. And I think what they are looking for is, the people that we would like to see interviewed, get the input from, possibly the exhibitors to follow and that sort of thing. And anytime that we've gone into this type of venture, we do contact the person first to make sure that they're going to be interested before we would put them in touch.
Great, thank you.
With each other.
Okay, Rachel Anger, you're recognized.
Thank you. My question had more to do with CFA's involvement in the finished product. Are we going to be able to see it and sign off on it? I'm sure we're all concerned about CFA and the cat fancy being portrayed in the best light possible, which has been done. I think the catwalk production that was on Netflix was very positive and very cute and sweet. And if this is going to be that same kind of thing, I am completely in favor of it. Our hobby got the bright, hot spotlight shined on us there for a moment, and I think we need that back.
Yeah, I think they're so passionate and they believe so much in CFA, and they've participated in CFA, that they want to do a quality production that puts CFA in a good light, that it doesn't make fun of the cat fancy in any way, or that it just really promotes the cat fancy and how wonderful it is. So, and we will have input, we will be signing off, and we'll make sure that that's in the contract, that we have that ability.
Okay, thank you, Aline. Pam Delabar, you're recognized for your second round.
I was just going to say the catwalk and the previous show that we had that was done by the the group from Brisbane. It was one show. We're looking at a series of, as I said, 10 to 12 shows. This would have a really big influence on the viewing public. And I think especially if it's put into this series format.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other comments? Okay, so let's call the question here. All those in favor of the Win-Win Audiovisual and CFA working with them, please raise your hands.
Howard votes yes.
Thank you, Howard. Okay, so the yes votes are George Eigenhauser, Cindy Bird, Steve McCullough, Pam Delabar, Carol Krasnowski, Melanie Morgan, Rich Maston, Kathy Calhoun, Sharon Roy, Kathy Dunham, John Kalila, Rachel Anger, Pam Mosier, Brian Mosier. Was that everyone? If you'll take your hands down.
I did not get a vote from Kenny. Maybe he's voting no.
I don't see Kenny online anymore.
Oh, wait, maybe he dropped off. Let me check in the. Oh, there he is. Let me bring him back in.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Kenny. We missed you. We just called for the vote on Pam's motion for central office to work with Win-Win Audiovisual. Are you in favor of that motion?
Yeah, I'm in favor of it, but I'm jealous.
Okay. You want to clarify your point?
Well, why does Rachel and Pam get to be, never mind, I'm just kidding.
Well,
Yes, I vote for it.
Okay, thank you. Rachel, would you, anyone voting no? Any abstentions? Okay, Rachel, will you announce the vote?
Yes, there were 16 yes votes, no votes, no abstentions.
Okay, thank you. And the motion is agreed to. Okay,
Thank you,
Melanie
everyone.
Melanie Morgan, you had some comments about the report.
Yeah, Elaine.
In response to your second item, yes, we really should be looking at how we can take advantage of this emergency order that's been put through in New York for not-for-profits, where we can make, we can have these, we could amend the CFA Constitution by electronic vote. It doesn't have to be an in-person type thing. And I believe that executive order goes through until December of 2021, if I'm not mistaken. So we have a window that we may want to take advantage of. And even if we don't take advantage of it, it might be something that we could get in the Constitution so that we would have this possibility in the future.
Okay, anyone else?
Daryl, my hand's up.
Okay,
Pam.
go ahead.
Just to remind, last April, I submitted a constitutional change to Article 4, Section 7, entitled Force Majeure, and it went in definitively into a lot of the different things that we're talking about, even suggesting courses of action for to ensure that we have a quorum to conduct the annual business meeting. I've sent that to Aline. I don't know if I've sent it to anybody else. But if you'd like to see it, I'll send it to the board list.
Okay. And that's a constitutional change, is that?
It's an amendment to our Constitution.
Okay, all right.
And of course, the issue is that amendments to the Constitution can only be passed by 2/3 of a vote of delegates who are at the board meeting. So
yes,
that's their,
Right.
the catch-22 that we're in.
Sure. Okay. Cindy Bird, you're recognized.
We have inquired with Nixon Peabody already regarding holding what would be an annual meeting with virtual participants. And they gave some quite nice guidance on how to prepare for it, how to conduct it, and how to follow up.
Okay,
So it would be a possibility.
Is that something you can share with the board?
Yes, we can send that out tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Cindy?
That's it.
Kenny Curley, you're recognized.
Yeah, just want to support the use of force majeure in any contract. Southern Region had a force majeure clause for last year's regional. And even though it took quite a bit of time to get our deposit back, we were successful in doing just that. So, you know, situations do arise. So I would recommend to all the regional directors to at least have some sort of protection in your contracts in the future.
Thank you, Kenny. Cindy, did you have something else? Your hand's still up. Okay, Cindy Bird's not responding. So, Aline, you have anything else?
Nope, that's it for central
Okay.
office.
Anyone
you.
else have questions for Aline? Okay, we'll move on to order number 5, IT report.
Hello,
James, you're
everyone.
recognized.
Yep. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Nothing major to report on since November. I just want to touch on a few things in the report. The genetics project, Steve Merritt has worked his way down to the Persian. He's working on those now. And I believe he said he'd hope to begin testing next week on that. Testing for that can take, a couple of weeks. Depends on, any issues he might pop up with. But I'd say at this point, they've got a lot of the logic and small tweaks worked out at this point. So that should go very well. The Wechat app, we did give the approval to Sana to begin working on that. With Thanksgiving and the holidays, they were not able to jump on that, as we knew, since other things came up while we decided on the approval of that. He did indicate that they thought work would begin sometime after Thanksgiving. I'm going to try to find out from him maybe next week and get a more definitive timeline on when he thinks that'll be finished up. I kind of talked to him just a little bit of that when we talked about the customer record cleanup and clerking module that we'll be working on. This is a different developer with Sonnet than I've been working with in the past. And I see it's been a very positive experience with this individual. It's going to require, I think, a lot less follow-up. The project should go smoother without having to do a lot of, explaining things repeatedly. That's been kind of a sticking point with with the guy we have been working with. Been a great programmer. It's just communication. I think with this guy, it's going to be better. So yeah, that's the current happenings. We'll be working on the clerking and this customer cleanup and white pages report, which all kind of tie all in together, as well as touching on a few other modules that already exist in the system that are going to be accessing this customer records, such as the judges and breed council. I did include an Excel file, which Rich had requested the last, I think it was October. He had requested outlining the projects and kind of estimated timelines with budgeted costs and costs spent to date. So that is available now, and we'll keep that updated. I think that was everything I wanted to cover. Any questions about anything?
Okay, James, thank you very much. I don't see anyone's hand going up. We'll move on to order number 6, which is club membership report, and that's Carol Krasnowski. You're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Daryl. We have tonight 2 club name changes and 1 new club application to consider. The first item of business will be from a club in Japan region that wishes to change the name from Camelot Cat Kingdom to Navy Blue Cat Club. The new name does not conflict with any other name. and the reason for the change is noted in the report. My motion is to approve the request by Camelot Cat Kingdom to change their name to Navy Blue Cat Club effective immediately.
Okay, second from someone, please.
Steve
George will second.
seconds.
Okay, I heard Steve first. And so is there any discussion on the name change from Camelot Cat Kingdom to Navy Blue Cat Club? Rachel Anger, you have your hand up.
Yep, I'm going to support this, although the reason to me doesn't match their request. But they want to change their name. It's not offensive in any way, so I'm going to support it anyway.
Okay, anyone else comments? Okay, this seems pretty straightforward. So is there any objection to this motion? Okay, hearing no objection by unanimous consent, that is agreed to. Next, Carol.
The next club name change request comes from a club in the southern region. Magic City Cat Club wishes to change their name to Southeastern Cat Fanciers. Again, this new name does not conflict with any existing name, and the reasons are stated in the report. I move to approve the request by the Magic City Cat Club to change their name to Southeastern Cat Fanciers effective immediately.
Okay, need a second?
Rachel seconds.
Thank you, Rachel. Any discussion on the Magic City Cat Club changing their name to Southeastern Cat Fanciers? Okay, is there any objection to this action item? Okay, hearing no objection by unanimous consent, this is agreed to. Okay, we'll move on to new club applicants. Carol?
Yes, we have one applicant to consider tonight from China. It's Shadow Cats Feline Fanciers. While this club is based in Guangzhou, the members are planning to hold activities in Xi'an, where many of the members reside. Xi'an is the capital of Shanxi province and is situated on the Guangzhou Plain in central China. As one of China's oldest cities, Xi'an has an impressive history and is well known as the home of the Terracotta Army. With a population of over 12 million, Xi'an is one of the most heavily populated cities of the central northwest region and is an important center for culture, industry, science, and education. Most of the members are active CFA breeders and exhibitors. Several have show production experience and many have clerking experience as well. This is an all-breed club, and if accepted, they plan to promote breeding of pedigreed cats and produce 4 shows a year in Xi'an. I move to accept this club.
Okay, I need a second.
Rachel seconds.
Thank you, Rachel. I just promoted Russell Webb. Russell, would you like to make comments on this club application?
Yeah, they seem, from what I understand, it's a club that's going to be putting on a lot of CFA shows, and I approve the club.
Okay, Gavin, do you or Eva have any comments to make? Okay, George Eigenhauser, your hand's up.
Yeah, I just want to say that I strongly support this club as well. 2 of the things I look for in new clubs are that they're bringing in new people, and this is bringing in 18 new people. And the other thing is they have enough show production experience within the club that they're not just blowing smoke up our skirts when they say they're going to put on shows. This one meets both of those requirements. It's bringing in new people, and it's likely this will be a productive show producing club. So I fully support them.
Okay, great. Any other comments? Okay, is there any objection to the acceptance of Shadow Cat Feline Fanciers in the International Division, China? Okay, hearing no objection by unanimous consent, this new club is accepted. Congratulations. Carol, you have any other items in your report?
No, Daryl, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carol. Nice job as always. Okay. We'll move on to order number 7, Treasurer's Report. Kathy Calhoun, you're recognized.
Okay, thank you. I've submitted the treasurer's report. You would notice that we have a lot of numbers that are negative, and 99% of them are driven because of the pandemic. And I think it's understandable, although not ideal for any stretch of the imagination. We see a bump in breed council dues that was called out in the last report. And that is really because we are now, we've accepted breed council dues for 2 years, as opposed to yearly, and that would cause the increase as compared to the prior year. I really don't have anything else to call out on this report, but I would like to draw your attention to the final page of the report, which talks to, thank you, which talks to the bottom line. And as I've called out in the past, the number that I tend to pay particular attention to is the net ordinary income, which is almost $63,000, which for the time period of May through October 2020, compared to a negative $92,000 in the prior year. I would say that the biggest things that contributes to this positive number is that with the annual and the international show, we don't have the income, but nor do we have the expense. We've done a lot of work on reducing corporate expense with Zoom. We have not distributed sponsorship money as we have in the past, so that has dropped to the bottom line. I want to give special call out to the central office because they've done a yeoman's job of managing the cost. They did have some furloughs and those sorts of things, but they went above and beyond that to manage costs, so a good job. If we go all the way down to the net income, that also includes all of the, the market-driven income that we have on the unrealized gains and losses of $111,000, almost $112,000. And for that, I'd like to do a call out to Rich Maston. He does a fabulous job of keeping his eye on the ball on that and making sure that we have our investments appropriately distributed. So great job there. The bottom line is that we are almost at $186,000 net income compared to a loss at the same time period last year of 39. Are there any questions?
Okay, I don't see any hands going up, Kathy.
Okay.
Order number 8 is the budget report, and that's also you're chair of that.
Okay, yes. So the budget committee met via Zoom on November 18th. I want to call out all the committee members called in globally and made it work between work and time zone differences. So thank you very much for doing that. A couple of categories I would like to call out: registration and registration related accounts. As you might remember that when we put the budget together in the March and April timeframe of this year, we really had no idea that the pandemic would have the impact that it has had globally, and that would be as long as it has been. So we took the first 6 months of the fiscal year from a registration and registration related accounts down 90%. So that's a 10% decline. As you could see, if you look back at the treasurer's report, we've been at about 7.5% decline. But the thing that we did, we assumed that in the second half of the year that there would be a recovery. And we took registration back up to 100%. And in fact, we thought there might be a bump at the end of the year. So we brought it up to 110 at the end of the year. That's not going to happen, as we all know. This is more impactful than what we thought at the beginning. So we haven't actually gone in and adjusted the budget in QuickBooks, but offline we are anticipating that we would track at about 90% for the balance of the year from a registration related perspective compared to prior years. So that would be closer to the holding the 90% all year long. From show related income and expense accounts, there was the same sort of rationale that we didn't think that the pandemic would be as impactful as it has been. So we zeroed out everything for the first 6 months and went back to 100% in the second half of the year. That is not going to happen either. But we do see globally, we see, there's shows coming back. They're coming back slower than, certainly not 100%. So we would anticipate that to be about 30% compared to prior year moving forward for the next 6 months. The other thing, because we have had fewer shows, we would expect to see another $40,000 drop down to the bottom line from a perspective of show sponsorship. We're not distributing show sponsorship monies as we have in the past because we haven't had shows. And also, we see that, the Zoom platform for CFA board meetings and other meetings, for instance, the budget committee meetings would have been likely in person. We have seen the Zoom platform works very well and will be continued at least until February. And we see that will drop another $22,000 to the bottom line in savings. So we are not recommending, that we recommend that we stay the course, that we keep our eye on the financials, spend prudently, and as I said, stay the course for the balance of the year. So that was the major outcomes from that meeting. And then I have included the timeline for budget request submission. So you will be getting reports from me. I've sent some out and we'll be sending others out later on tonight so that all of the committee liaisons will have their P&Ls for their, they may have, some have profit, not all have profit, but at least their expense portions of their budgets and their performance against the budget they submitted for the last 18 months. So we give a little bit more than a year's background on that. And those requests, the budget requests, are due from the liaisons on January 5th, as you see in the input due dates. And then there's some other outstanding dates for like capital requests and sponsorship in Houston and the international show. And then the rest of the calendar has not changed since it was offered in October. Are there any questions?
Kenny Curley, you're recognized.
Yeah, it's not so much a question as to what needs to be said publicly for what Kathy, Rich, and the budget committee has done to watch our finances, particularly Rich with his investments and Kathy with her oversight during this time. It's been a tough time throughout the world. And what they've done to keep us solvent and even at a slight profit has just been amazing. So I want to give you my personal kudos, and I'm certain that the rest of the board and all of CFA is grateful. And that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Kenny.
Okay, any other comments, questions for Kathy while her committee's being discussed? Okay, thank you very much, Kathy.
Okay.
I'll echo Kenny's compliments to the committee. What a great job you guys have done. Okay, we'll move on to order number 9, which is Rich Maston on the 2021 CFA International Show Report.
Thank you, Daryl. Kenny, thank you for the kind words. I understand that the motion or the action item I have is going to get, I'll present it in January for it not being introduced to the board in a timely manner. I believe at our last board meeting, we did discuss that we would discuss the option to make the decision if we're to cancel or not. the committee reviewed some of the things that are involved in determining whether or not to put on a CFA or international show with everything that's happening. Eileen looked into a facility in Anaheim. It's not available for a weekend. The concern is, there's three concerns that we look at here, and each person may prioritize them differently, but my priority is the health and safety and well-being of all who attend. And I can't predict what's going to happen in the next 10 months, but I don't feel good as the chair of the international show going ahead and trying to put on an international show under the current conditions, even though it's 10 months out. My second concern is the staff and volunteers that will be asked to put their time and energies into this event on a semi-short notice, with the great chance that this could be canceled because of what's happening. And then my third concern, and I don't want my third concern overshadowing my first two concerns, but there is a great financial risk to putting on this event in a different location than where we were last year. Now, we know we can't go back to where we were last year because that facility is out of business as of the end of this year. Now, they may come back in business of a different company or what have you. Maybe the city will take it over, but we don't know that. But based on history, and I've been involved with the international show for 9 or 10 years now, and based on history, our greatest performance in gate was in Cleveland at the IX Center. Prior to that, we did okay in Portland, and we didn't do as well as we had hoped to in the years previous. If we're forced to move this show to another location, which we likely will be, the chances of us hitting the gate level we hit last year is slim to none. We will be lucky if we can hit a 30 to 40% of what we did back then. Now, I'm not saying we're only going to lose $1,000 or a couple thousand. I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars in gate income. What we achieved last year in Cleveland was our second year. I believe we almost had a 100% increase in gate. Our first year in a new facility typically isn't going to outdo what we did for 2 years in a row at this facility. So I need the board to seriously think of the concerns that I brought up in making this decision on whether to have a show or not. The committee is in full agreement. We should not proceed with a show in 2021, and we should focus on 2022. And I would ask the board to take that under strong consideration. And at this point in time, I'm willing to accept questions, thoughts, ideas, and the committee will address them. And we will come back in January, likely with the motion that you see on my report.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Kathy Calhoun, your hand's up.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Rich said, and just to give you, I did a little bit of back of the envelope analysis on the international show, and basically what I did, and this is very, very conservative, but what I did is just said, okay, you know, what would occur if gate went down 10%? I would fully expect in a new location to be way more than that, but let's say it was 10%. Keep in mind, we only our profit margin is thin on this show, and last year we made $8,000 with that huge gate. So we would lose $1,500. But what if it went down 80%? we'd lose $11,000. What if it went down 60%? Just into the gate, that would be almost a $31,000 loss. And that's not saying that other income sources would likely also go down. Expenses could go up because we don't have if we go somewhere else, the relationship is not built with that location. There's inflation, there's all sorts of things. It just seems like it would definitely be a significant hit to CFA. And I also agree with Rich. My number one priority is the health and safety of all those involved. And we don't know what's going to happen. We all hopefully that things will be better, but we just don't know. And I don't think it's a risk worth taking.
Okay. On the health factor thing, we all know that the CDC is considering the Pfizer EUA. And I think it was today or yesterday that Moderna has applied to the CDC for a EUA for their vaccine. So we don't know how that's going to be moved. The CDC voted today on who's going to get those vaccinations first. And we all know that frontline providers and people in nursing homes are the most vulnerable to this. So, and then, it's going to be the people over 65 and people with pre-existing conditions. So the vaccine should hit the scene very shortly. So Pam Delabar, you're recognized.
I have to take myself off mute. Of the facilities that were brought up, has anybody checked on the availability for 2022? I guess my question's to Rich.
Actually,
Pam, go ahead, Ellen.
I did check on 2022, and I know that Oaks is available for 2022. I believe Dulles is. I don't know about Novi, and I don't know about Anaheim. Anaheim had the weekend following our show available in this year. But I did not check with them on 2022.
Okay, thanks.
Melanie Morgan, you're recognized.
Yeah, I guess my question is a point of clarification and will be directed to Shelley. Shelley, it's in regards to the fact that this motion has been ruled as not pre-noticed. Yet, didn't you write to us earlier when you researched the issue of notice and what constitutes notice, that it could be something as short as a couple hours? And clearly we knew about this at least 24 hours in advance. I'm just looking at the email that you sent. It said, our Constitution does not define what time frame of notice is required for motions. Robert's Rules does not define what notice period is for pre-noticing. House of Commons defines notice in a shorter period of time as 2 hours. It states that notice can be achieved by email, blah, blah. So anyway, I'm just checking on that because it seems to me that this is a somewhat time-sensitive subject.
Okay, well, the issue before me is notice, and if something is noticed in time to make the agenda, and then this is on our agenda, and no one objected to the agenda, then this should be considered noticed. If something is not on the agenda and it's brought up, but it never made the agenda, I would say that it is not noticed. And so if you want to set protocols and rules about how things hit your agenda, or if there's deadlines to make the agenda, then you can do that. You also at the beginning of the meeting should be voting when the agenda is agreed upon. There should be argument at that time whether or not something is rightfully or wrongfully on the agenda, i.e. items aren't pre-noticed with enough time to properly investigate all of the underlying things to them. In this case, it's my recommendation to the president that this motion is pre-noticed, at least if there is a motion in here, which is a board action, and it was put into the agenda and no one objected at the beginning of this meeting when the agenda was agreed upon, then technically everyone's had notice. They know it's here. No one objected in a timely manner. I would say that this motion should be considered noticed at this point.
Thank you, Shelley, and I'll agree to that. But when Rich submitted this, it was late. It was not by the deadline. And my recommendation, and this went to the board, that since it didn't meet the deadline, it should be voted and added to new business. And since Rachel went ahead and put it in the report, so I agree that it's pre-noticed. But that was not my recommendation to Rich or to Rachel to put this in. My recommendation was that it be, since it was late getting in, because I turned Howard down for a motion that he wanted, and I don't play favorites, okay? I realize this is a tricky item, and I asked Rich if it could be delayed until January, and his response was yes. George Eichenhauser.
Yeah, this actually brings up a broader subject, not just this one motion. And we're constantly getting late reports streaming in up to the last minute. We have people making substitutions when they update reports. And you have to remember that one of the reasons we publish a notice to the fancy is so that they can be aware of what's coming up before the board. If we set our agenda 2 hours before the meeting or at the meeting, it doesn't give board members time to research the issues. It doesn't give the public and our constituents time to make comments. So regardless of what we do on this particular motion, I think at some point we need to sit down and say a policy and say, this is a hard stop. Anything after this is going to be treated as new business and you're going to have to get 2/3 so that it can be published. Board members can have time to do research and our constituents can have time to give input.
Thank you, George. Rich, you're recognized.
Yeah, I just want to comment that Daryl did email me, and I don't know if he included the board or not, and he asked me, and I agreed. I don't want Daryl to play favorites in any way. My notice was to Rachel on time that I would have a report with an action item. I didn't tell her what the action item was, so she could put the agenda together. I did not get the report to her by her deadline. It came in late, and I proceeded to forward it on to the entire board. Make no excuses. I thought I had sent it, and I realized I did not send it. I checked with Aline. I said, Aline, did by chance I send the report? She goes, no, I don't think so. I go, oh my gosh, I got to send the report. Those things happen. Consequences are, I have no objections, as I told Daryl on Sunday after I sent this report. I'm willing to bring my action item up in January. I did want to open up any comments and questions to the fellow board members, and I wanted to share my concerns with making the decision on whether or not we should proceed with the show or postpone it and look to working on 2022.
Thank you, Rich.
Go ahead. I can't raise my hand. I have to kind of raise it like that.
Who's speaking?
Oh, it's Aline. I'm sorry.
Okay, do you need to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that in October, this same issue was brought up and the same concerns were brought up in October. And at the October board meeting, we basically decided to discuss it again in December. We thought the situation might be a little bit different. We might have more information on COVID. We might feel more reassured that we could have a successful show and that we would make a decision in December. So I know that's technically not official pre-notice, but it's been in the works and it's been discussed, and we all know it was going to be discussed at this meeting.
Yeah, well, I think Pam Delabar had made a comment that she would like to get some input from the exhibitors before we cancel this, but that's just, let's see, Rachel Anger, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you. I placed the report where it is because it wouldn't make sense to have a blank spot here and then have the report somewhere else. And I misunderstood any direction. I thought we would vote on the action item during new business. That didn't make sense either. But in the final analysis, you know, what we need to do is come up with a policy, because this is how it's always been done in the past. Doesn't mean that's the correct way to do it, but what Rich did is nowhere out of the norm. And we've always taken reports that and considered the deadline more of a guideline than a hard and fast rule. My personal opinion is that we're all here to handle the business of this association, and however we can best handle it is how we should do it. And this is a report that was pre-noticed in as early as October. So this is no surprise that it was coming forward. And all due respect to Howard, his issue was completely different. We didn't really have a report or a formally presented item at that time. So there's a lot of different levels to this situation. I think we have an action item later on where we can discuss this, but and during this agenda item, I would like to return the focus back to the report, and if we're done discussing it, then perhaps we can move on.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Kenny Curley, you're recognized.
I believe Kathy's hand up was before me.
Well, it pops up here and who raises
Okay,
their
no,
hand.
that's fine. I'm in agreement with Rachel. It was a decision that we were looking at to speak of, and it's something I had brought up as far as the ability of the board to react. I mean, right now, it would put a lot of constraints on, you know, wherever we have the show. We don't have a show hall. We don't know what the future is really going to hold. Right now, we're adjusting on the fly. And if we don't have the ability to adjust, you know, in a very quick manner, I think that it really restricts us as a business to be able to act, you know, properly. But I'm willing to wait till January. I'm willing to, you know, get some input from our people out there. You know, I don't see any problem with waiting one more month, but I think at this point in time, it looks pretty bleak as far as our prospects are concerned. Even with a vaccine that may be successful, I mean, people still are going to be a little bit shy about attending these events in throngs. So anyway, I'll let other people speak on it, but right now, if we vote on it, I'll vote to postpone the show.
Okay, the only issue here is how much vote it requires. It can be brought up. Since Shelley has ruled that since Rachel put it in the report, it's pre-noticed. So if it's the consensus of the board, they want to go ahead and vote on this without contacting and getting in touch with their constituents when we have a vaccine that may alter everything in the future. I don't have a dog in this fight. It's the board of directors that votes on this. Okay. Pam Delabar, you're recognized.
Thank you. Before voting, I wanted to see just a little bit more of a fleshed out report than maybe this, maybe that, maybe whatever. I think we all know in our hearts of hearts, we're going to probably be postponing this event until 2022. But I want to have more facts on the table that I can discuss with my Zoom meetings and with my region and say, hey guys, this is what's going on. I know they're going to say have something on the East Coast by all means, but I do want to see a few more facts before we are voting on this to carry it forward.
Okay, Kathy Calhoun, you're recognized.
Yes, yeah, we do have a place to talk about more in this arena about policy in new business, but I think Aline is being very kind. This doesn't, the postponement doesn't impact the board, but this is really putting central office and putting together a brand new, because we don't have the IX Center and we don't have a location, this is a brand new, location. So it's like starting all over again. And we were starting late, and postponing it another 30 days is another issue. I think we've known that this was going to come up in December. We've had an opportunity to talk about it with our constituents. And I think we just need to move forward and vote.
Okay, Pam, who else had their hand up? Somebody had their hand up.
I did, Aline.
Okay, go ahead, Aline.
Pam, you had asked for more facts, and I'm wondering what facts are you looking for?
May I speak, Daryl?
Yes.
Okay. What are you going to do about the judging slate? Where are we going to have the show? Different things like that.
Okay.
Okay, Pam Mosier, you have some comments?
I just want to say that I agree with Kathy Calhoun. I think we should just vote and move forward.
Okay, Brian Mosier, your hand's up.
Honestly, I don't see a problem with wait until January. What's another 30 days? See what's happening. At least you can see Pam and I don't agree on everything.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else have any comments? So Rich, it's up to you. You want to make your motion?
At this time, I know many of you want me to make the motion, but I'm going to stick to my word that I told the board and Daryl on Sunday that I'm okay presenting my motion in January. Now, if somebody else wants to make a motion, you're welcome to do so, I guess. I don't know the rules on that, how that works, but yes, we can wait till January. It's not going to be easy. I have to thank Loretta Bow. I don't know if she's a participant. 8 or 9 years ago, she came to me in June of the year the World Show was happening in Columbus, Ohio, and asked me if I would get involved and be the show manager. That was in June for a show in November, and we did pull it off. I believe at the time they had the facility secured, but we can make things happen on short notice. It may not be pretty the first go around because there's a lot of work that needs to get done. So answer is no, Daryl. I'm not going to make the motion. I'm going to stick to what I said I would do on Sunday, and that is I will bring this back to the board in January.
Thank you, Rich. Pam Mosier, you're recognized.
Okay, well, Rich said if somebody else wants to make a motion, can I do that?
Shelley, since Pam's motion would not be pre-noticed, it'd require 2/3. Is that correct?
I need to look at a little research on that. I need to understand that. It's going to take me just a minute. I don't have an answer this second.
Okay, we'll wait for you.
Daryl,
Yes.
can we just have like a 5-minute break?
Sure, that'd be fine. We'll
Okay.
recess for 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. So is everyone back? I'll call the meeting back to order. So Shelley, you,
Daryl?
Yes, I did my research, and basically the bottom line is that the motion has to be pre-noticed, not the person making the motion. So this motion, the time to object was when the agenda put it into the regular business and not new business. And so at this stage, it's a noticed motion, and any member can raise their hand when no one else has the floor and make a motion that is then the only question is pre-noticed or not. And this is what I would consider a pre-noticed motion.
great. Thank you so much, Shelley. I agree with that. Pam Mosier, you're recognized.
Okay, so I'm confused. So I can make the motion or I can't, and it has to be.
You
and
can
it
make
just
the
has-
motion and it's a majority vote.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna make the motion just so that we can move on. I'll just go ahead and make to move to have the 2021 CFA International Show and to plan for a show in 2022.
Not to have a
No,
2021.
oh, I'm sorry. Yes, not to have it.
Steve second.
All right, Pam and Steve have made the motion. Now, before I open this up for debate, I don't want to see another regional win debacle that we had and had to rescind that motion. So if the board feels strongly that they can't wait for a month so that we can look at this and maybe have a little bit more information, then by all means, go right ahead, but you'll face your constituents. That's all I'm going to say. So Kenny Curley, you're recognized.
Yeah, I'm going to vote against this. I want to wait a month.
Okay, Melanie Morgan, you're recognized.
I have to, I mean, as long as Rich is okay with waiting for the month, I have no problem with getting more information and input from exhibitors. And I'm fine with that. I was concerned about the timing, but it seems that there is no problem with that. And given that, I too will vote against this.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, so the motion is not to have a 2021 CFA International Show and plan for a show in 2022. Motion made by Pam Mosier, seconded by Steve. All those in favor of this motion, raise your hands.
Aye, Howard.
Okay. So the yes votes are Pam Mosier and Howard Webster. All right, please take your hands down. All those opposed to this motion? Okay, the no votes are George Eigenhauser, Pam Delabar, Kenny Curley, Sharon Roy, Melanie Morgan, Carol Krasnowski, Kathy Dunham, Brian Mosier, John Kalila, Cindy Bird, Steve McCullough, Kathy Calhoun. All right, abstentions. So the abstentions are Sharon Roy, Kathy Calhoun, Rachel Anger, and Rich Maston.
Daryl,
Yes?
I was a no. I just forgot to put my hand up.
Who was that? Who's speaking?
Sharon.
Who? Sharon Roy. Okay.
Daryl, this is Kathy. I'm an abstain.
I see that.
Okay.
I called you as an abstain.
Okay.
Okay, Rachel, would you announce the vote?
Yes, 2 yes votes, 11 no votes, 3 abstentions.
Okay, so the motion is not agreed to. So Rich, you'll bring this back in January.
Yes, I will.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, let's move on to the next business item, which is Companion Cat World. I don't know if Kathy Black was able to get in or not. She sent us an email that she's really busy right now with all the Medicare stuff going on. So
I don't see her here, Daryl.
she's not there. Okay.
Yeah.
So Aline, do you or Desiree want to give this report?
I can give the report. I can also bring Desiree in if there's any questions anybody has. Let's see, we're promoting CCW. Well, one of the biggest ways that we've come up with to really promote CCW is to have a virtual cat show. Desiree thought it'd be a great idea to have it around February 14th, just to have a theme of lovers and cats. It would be a non-scored, all fun virtual cat show. And one of the stipulations would be that a cat that enters in the virtual cat show would have to be CFA registered. So we think that this could really promote registrations as far as CCW. There are, well, we've outlined here some of the judging categories, donating to charities. Pretty much that's it. We're planning a monthly, well, that's about for the show. And then as far as a newsletter, we are starting to plan a monthly newsletter to go out to owners of CCW cats so we can inform them about CFA, programs, breeds, new clubs coming up that they might want to consider joining and that sort of thing. So we'll have more information about the virtual cat show. We're planning for February. And it will actually be, we started looking at a timeline. It would kick off probably around the beginning of February.
Okay.
With judging to be February 14th.
Yep. Thank you, Aline. Anyone have any questions about the companion cat world? Okay, we'll move on. Business item number 11 was moved to closed session. So we'll do order number 12, which is marketing, and that's Desiree Bobby. If you...
Yeah, and Desiree was here. Let's see, here she is. Let me promote her to panelist.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Desiree, you there? Okay, sorry. There she is. Okay, she is there now.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Desiree.
Hi, guys. Nice to see everybody. So for the past few months, I have been focused on VCC. And what I wanted to do in this report was just give everyone an overview of how it's been going. The past 7 events, the regional qualifying events that we worked on, it's been such a great team effort between the VCC committee, Iris and her team, and Lorna and the Millennial Outreach team and marketing. And we've all just really jived really well with working on these 7 different events. And you can see some of the numbers there. We've had over 45,000 views that's accumulated with all the different events. So those are visitors that come from all over the world. We have had 3,000 entries into these events, and there has been over 1,100 individuals that have signed up on VCC. I'd like to say all of, there may have some that signed up that never entered cats, but the 1,100 is the users we now have on VCC. So with an average of like 400 to 800 entries in each event, and the spectators' choice voting, we have the clubs and regions have built over $35,000 in revenue from VCC over just these 7 events. So it's been pretty awesome. It's been really great. The VCC committee is really, they have just really taken the platform. They've done a really good job with creating videos and how-tos and things like that. So the next step for me is to kind of, I don't want to say walk away from it, but I'm really looking forward to getting back to other marketing things. But so we've transitioned, we've pretty much done a full transition. There's been I'm helping a little bit right now with the Top Cat Challenge. But basically I'm pretty confident that Iris and her team will be able to pick it up and run once the Top Cat Challenge series is over. So yeah, I'm not sure if anyone has any questions about anything with VCC, but that's pretty much what we've done and where we're going. And then right now, like I said, I'm just doing a little bit of general support for the Top Cat Challenge. I did have a conversation with Lorna actually today, and I will be helping her market that event as well. There's a small budget for advertisements, for social advertisements, so I'll help her with that. But then I'll go back to my other tasks. CCW, Eileen just told you about the Companion Cat World virtual cat competition we'll do in February. So that's next on my plate.
Okay, any questions for Desiree on marketing? Okay, Desiree, let's see, hold on. Kathy Dunham has her hand up.
Okay.
Hi, Desiree.
Hi.
Just one question about the February dates. Will you be working with the VCC committee to get those approved and work through the committee for those things? I know that you are part of that team, but the VCC does have that authority now to approve the events and the dates.
Yeah, so I did, when we first came up with the idea, I did let Iris know that I'm looking for February dates. I filled out the form, the application form, to request those dates. Since I know, like you said, like I'm on the team now, but now I'm transitioning off, right? So it'll be up to her team. Now there was, I'm not sure, and I think this is something we have to discuss with Eileen, like, you know, a central office will need to also kind of look at these things, because if our resources in central office are also still helping, like right now we have Amber who's helping build the shows. So I'm not sure if you guys have discussed that, but how that will work, like if it goes through one step of approval and then another step of approval. But I have, like I said, I filled out the form because I did what, you know, anyone else would have to do, is fill out the application to have the event. So
great. Yeah, the committee is continuing to work through the processes, but I just wanted to see where you were at in the process, and it sounds like you're doing great.
Okay, great.
Good deal.
Thanks.
Thank you, Desiree.
Thank you.
Okay, under reports of special committees, we have the Millennial Outreach Committee, and I've already promoted Lorna to a panelist. Lorna, you're recognized.
Thank you. I'm not going to read this all to you, but I do have an update from the International Division qualifier. We're now up to 128 unique cats that were awarded discounted entries, and 20 unique cats that have been awarded a free entry for being best in show in their competitive classes. There were a total of 1,944 entries in just competitive classes alone. So that's how many cats will qualify for the photo competition of the CFA Top Cat Challenge. We had one of the judges back out today from the photo event. Stephen Cornier is a work commitment that he's not able to get out of. Rachel identified a possible replacement for me, and I have contacted him, and we're currently pending acceptance. But right now we're at 170 entries with 1 week to go. If all of you regional directors could please make sure that everybody knows that the event is now taking entries and that there's only a week left to enter, we would really appreciate it.
Okay, anything else, Lorna?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, thank you so much for your report.
You're welcome.
Let's move on to special orders. Number 14, grant a distinction proposal, Pam Delabar. I think this was a special order made at the last meeting for you.
Yes, my hand was up under the other report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just one thing, when you're making up your report, if you really want to Insult a Finn, tell them they live in Sweden. Satu
I know,
Hemmerlein,
I fixed it.
not on your report.
Yeah.
Okay, under grant of distinction proposal, Sharon and I, of course, went back and forth with met online, and we have come up with the following, which is to suspend the current provisions of show rule 28.8 and substitute the following, which basically says 15 or more top 10, top 15 finals during the show season of 2020 and 2021. And that will count as an eligible year towards the granted distinction title, with the exception of Hawaii, where 5 finals are needed. And under the original rule, they need 10, so we just half that. Finals may be in any combination of all breeder specialty finals, and that is a change from the original show rule. But it's also caveated that under super specialty ring, only one final resulting in a super specialty ring will count towards the eligibility. And of course, we're bringing out that the 3 show seasons to achieve the Grand of Distinction title do not have to be consecutive. And then, as is currently written, cats achieving the title will still compete in regular Grand Champion or Grand Premier classes. I have an action item, which is moving that the proposal outlined in paragraph 1 be approved.
Kenny
Okay.
seconds.
All right, Kenny, thank you. Rich Maston, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Pam, I have a couple of questions. Why is the effective date July 1st, but yet the motion is stated during show season 2021 or 2020-2021? Why isn't it effective May 1st? That's my first question.
May I answer that?
Sure.
Hey, yeah, get them why I'm still awake. It was started 1 July because previous to that, no shows were allowed per the CFA board. Starting 1 July, I wanted to ensure that the Japanese show that did take place, I think was in July timeframe, was included under this provision.
Okay. And then the second question is it necessary to have 2 motions and pull out the 3 eligible show seasons to achieve the title do not have to be consecutive? And I don't know if that's necessary or not. What is required currently?
I wish I could tell you right now, but I left my show rules upstairs.
Does
And it
anybody know if the
state it-
requirement?
It does state it, but it's not well stated, and I wanted to bring that out. I'm pretty sure it does not have to be consecutive, but I wanted to emphasize that.
Someone in the attendee said it doesn't have to be consecutive. But we should confirm that.
I'd like, James, are you there?
Okay,
Can
yeah,
you unmute?
James.
So is Monty, is he attending the meeting?
Yeah,
Hang on.
I'm here too. No, it does
Yeah.
not have to be consecutive. I know that.
Okay.
So then that doesn't necessarily need to be stated in the motion, correct? If it's not already a requirement?
For completeness, it does, Rich.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, hang on, let me get back over on the panelist list. Carol Krasnowski.
Actually, it was answered already. The seasons do not have to be consecutive. I have the show rules in front of me and I'm looking at it now.
All right, thank you so much. Rachel Anger, you're recognized.
So everybody wants to know why are household pets not listed?
They weren't listed in the original one. Oversight. It's an oversight.
So Carol, you have the show rules there, our household pets listed in the,
That's a separate show rule. It's actually covered in show rule 29.04. So there would have to be a separate motion to address the household pet situation.
okay. So Pam, do you want to go ahead with this motion and
Please.
try to come up with a motion to amend the household pets? Hang on a minute, Shelley, you're recognized.
The only thing I was going to add is that this motion could be amended to include household pets. It's another option.
Well,
To
it is, but
include the provision to address the household pets.
but if we have a separate show rule that addresses that, technically that show rule should be amended, in my
Correct.
opinion.
I'm saying you can amend this motion to address two different show rules, but it's 6 of 1.
Correct.
Okay. So
And
do
I would do that to move things along.
okay,
I said I don't have it, but I would add the show rule 29, whatever it is, to read. Carol, what was it was 29.1?
May I speak?
yes,
Okay, it's 29.04.
Okay, thanks.
And actually, do you want to use, if we could probably use the same wording that you have for your current motion and just also use it for 29.04, referring to the household pets.
What I would do, Carol, is just suspend the provisions of 29.04 and add household pets to the cats achieving this title will still compete in regular grand champion, grand premier classes, and the grand household pet classes. Just add them to this one and suspend the other one till the end of the show season.
okay. Sharon Roy,
Yeah, you know what? It's not quite that simple. If you read 2904, we make a distinction with the household pets that they have to receive at least 250 points in the season to collect the Grand of Distinction. So we'd have to suspend the 250 points and just do the finals.
okay. George Eigenhauser, you're recognized.
Yeah, I was going to agree with Sharon. There are household pet specific provisions in 2904 that we can't just copy and paste grand champion, grand premiers over the top.
Okay.
So it's going to need a little bit of work.
Okay.
Okay. Carol Krasnowski, you're recognized.
Yes, I'd like to suggest that we vote on the current motion and we ask Pam and Sharon to come back in January with a motion regarding the household pets.
That's a great idea. Rachel Anger, you're recognized.
Yes, and that was my suggestion as well. And I would like to suggest that we include the household pet committee.
Okay.
Okay,
Sharon, can you and Pam do that?
Of course.
of course, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jenny and I talk all the time, so that'll be fun.
Fantastic. Okay. All right. So is there any more debate on the motion at hand? Sharon, your hand's still up. Okay. I've already forgotten who seconded this motion.
Kenny,
Kenny. Okay. All right. So any further debate? Everybody happy with this? Is there any objection to the motion? Okay, hearing no objections, by unanimous consent, the motion is agreed to. Okay, Pam, anything else?
Not on that, and we'll get back to you in January with the change to 29.04.
Great, thank you. Rachel, will you make that a special order for the January agenda?
So noted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Pam, you're up with the next one, which is Region 9 Regional Wind Title Update.
Yes, you asked me to check in to see about Region 9. We just had our third show in Finland. We did have 43 entries. There were 4 absentees, and that was due to new restrictions around our Uusimaa area, which includes Helsinki. So some of our exhibitors did not get the chance to come. Just to give you an idea, out of 6 rings right now, our highest scoring cat number 1 in the region would have 135 points. The 22nd best cat in the region would have 12.40 points. Premiership top cat would have 80 points. 22nd, that's about as low as it's going right now, is 3 points. Kittens without split season would go 10 points. With split season, which I am not fond of, I will have to tell you that because I thought we already made a ruling on how we were going to handle split season regional winter kittens. My 25th best kitten would have 7.8 points. I had a Zoom meeting, and basically, just to bring it out, the breeders and exhibitors work hard to attain the various CFA titles and especially have high regard for the title of regional winner. And due to the probability of few shows for the remainder of show season 2020-2021 caused by COVID-19 restrictions and limitations, and because of the respect and the value placed on the regional winner title by Region 9 exhibitors, we are requesting no change to the minimum points as decided by the board.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody have questions for Pam? Okay, let's move on to Business Order 16, Traditional Show Date Motion. Kathy Dunham, you're up.
Thank you. Most of us worked on this. I did send it out to all of the regional directors. They were able to make any recommendations. We've had a few shows across CFA. We've also had multiple shows that have been canceled. And the inquiries that regional directors are getting is what will happen with a club's traditional date if they go 2 years without producing a show. So last March, there was a motion brought to the board that the requirement to qualify as a traditional date is not affected by the cancellation of shows. We feel that this is an open-ended motion with no effective date nor a cutoff date, and we know what assumptions can get us in the current situation and climate that we're in. So I would like to present the following motion, effective immediately. All club traditional show dates are protected through the 2023-2024 show season.
Kathy
Steve,
Calhoun
second.
seconds.
Okay, who was it? Kathy Calhoun?
Yep.
Okay. All right. George Eigenhauser, you're recognized.
I strongly support the concept of protecting the clubs who've had their shows, canceled because of COVID, and then later on because of people's fears and reluctance to come back out to shows. But I'm thinking 2023, 2024 is a bit long. I would prefer it only be 2022, 2023. I support the concept, and if that's what people want, I will vote yes on this, but I would prefer it be a little shorter.
Okay, Pam Delabar, you're recognized.
And I agree with George. This would take in 5 show seasons. I don't think we need to go out that far any further than 2022, 2023.
Okay, do one of you all want to make an amendment? You got 2 people that want to do this, so one of you need to meet.
Okay, Pam here.
Okay, so
I will amend. amend the motion to read, strike through 2023 to 2024 to read 2022 to 2023 show season.
And
I'll
George
take-
will second.
Yes, exactly. All right. Rich Maston.
Yeah, I had the same notes on my sheet. I was gonna recommend the same thing Pam and George did. I
Okay.
think 5 years is too long.
Okay. Anyone else want to debate the amendment? Pam, Delavar?
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to lower my hand.
Okay. All right. So any other debate on the amendment? Okay, seeing no one raising their hands, is there an objection to the amendment to the main motion? Hearing no objection by unanimous consent, the main motion is amended to read 2022/2023. So is there any debate on that? Okay, is there any objection to the amended motion? Hearing no objection by unanimous consent, the amended motion is agreed to. Thank you very much, Kathy Dunham.
You're welcome.
Okay, business number 17 is Sharon Roy, special show proposal, National Region Forest Cat and Delaware River Cat Clubs.
Well, first of all, this is assuming that either the end of February or in April, which is Delaware River's date, one of those two dates, we would be able to have a show. What needs to be approved in this is we're asking for 8 rings in one day, which our show rules do say 6 rings, but because of the so few shows, we'd like to give the exhibitors a chance to have some extra rings. And ring sharing, which is not allowed other than single specialties. So those are the two things. If we are allowed to do this, I think you can read, we asked to not present finals, but rather to just post finals, which will save time, but also save people coming up into a ring and having several people there. That's all.
Okay, so you're making that motion?
Yes, please.
I need a second.
Richard
Melanie
seconds.
I heard Rich Maston. I'll take his name. George Eichenhauser, you're recognized.
Hate to always be the picky one, but 125 cats in the morning and 125 cats in the afternoon in the same ring is 250 cats and double the finals. Not that many judges are going to be up to that. And it may also be slower getting to the rings if people are trying to observe social distancing. I'd like to see the entry limit lowered a little bit. I support the concept. I'm okay with the concept, but I think 125 in the morning and 125 in the afternoon is too many.
Okay, thank you, George. Pam Mosier, you're recognized.
Okay, Sharon, you're stating that you just wanted to have the finals posted. So you're saying that the cats don't come up in the ring at all, they're just posted, right?
That's correct.
So to me, that's against the show rule to do it that way.
Well,
That's
that's what this motion is asking for. It is to
So-
this be the procedure.
Okay. I just have a concern.
Okay, Melanie Morgan.
Yeah, this is an alternate experimental / format, which by definition pushes the edges of the envelope with some of our rules. Talking about the 125 cat limit, this is consistent with what we do for split rings for specialties. It's just now we're looking at all breed or specialty rings. And by nature of the fact that we're not having people come back up into the ring and judges sitting there and presenting finals, you're going to save a significant amount of time. So that 125 cat limit is certainly a very doable number, even assuming that we did get to the 125 cats.
Okay, thank you, Melanie. Kenny Curley, you're recognized.
Yeah, I agree with Melanie. I agree with Sharon. I'm supportive of this. It is an experimental format. It does offer our exhibitors, our constituents, a easier venue. And as far as ring sharing is concerned, 125 cats with no finals is not that difficult.
Okay, thank you, Kenny. Anyone else? Okay, are you ready for the question? Since George just stated an objection to the numbers, I'm going to call for the vote. So all those in favor of Sharon's motion?
Daryl, you don't need to call it on my account.
Okay, all right.
That was a concern, but not enough to change my vote.
Okay, all right, no problem then. So anybody object to Sharon's motion?
Yes, I do.
Okay, all right. So we have an objection. So all those in favor of this motion, please vote by raising your hand.
For it, Howard.
Okay. So our yes votes are Howard, George, Rich, Melanie, Cindy, Rachel, Carol Krasnowski, John Kalila, Kathy Dunham, Pam Delabar, Sharon Roy, Steve McCullough, Kenny Curley, and Kathy Calhoun. Okay, take your hands down. And all those opposed, please raise your hand. Okay, the Mosier squared. Okay, is there any abstentions? Okay, Rachel, will you announce the vote, please?
We have 14 yes votes, 2 no votes, 0 abstentions.
Thank you. The motion is agreed to. Okay, Sharon, good luck.
Thank you. Let's hope we
Yep.
can even have it.
Yes, there you go. Okay. All right. So our next order of business is item 18, Grand Point calculation issue. Carol Kay, I understand you're going to be presenting this.
Yes, I'm presenting it. It's not, this is a proposal that was not put together by the Show Rules Committee, but as Show Rules liaison, I agreed to present it.
Okay.
I want to get to the motion. Alan, can you scroll down to where the motion is?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to read it first, and then I have some comments I would like to add of my own. Okay. Oh, I think you went past it. There it is.
There it is.
The motion is to adopt the following show rule change effective immediately. And I will make this motion reserving the right to vote no.
Okay.
The motion is modify show rule 28.02A to rank all champions and premiers in top 10 or 15 finals in both their all breed and specialty placements, and to award points for the highest award earned in the ring, effective retroactively to the beginning of the current season. And I would like to add some comments of my own, and it's going to be a little lengthy, so I apologize in advance. But I did try contacting Monty Phillips, but he's been unavailable. I really was hoping to get his input before this meeting. This proposal came about due to a question concerning the scoring of grand champion points in all breed finals at a recent show. Central office scored the show correctly based on the rules. The show rules specify exactly the official awards that will be made in each judge's ring. The official all breed finals awards allow for top 10 or top 15 cats and first through third best all breed long hair and short hair champions. Additional champions that place in the top 10 or top 15 receive grand points using the 10% decrements, but there are no official awards specified for champions beyond the third best placements. Additional champions placing in all breed finals receive points based on the all breed champion count using 10% decrements. In one of the examples presented in the proposal, a cat would have received more points as sixth best short hair champion instead of the points received through the official top 15 final award of 11th best all breed cat. The problem here is that the show rules do not specify official awards for sixth best short hair champion. Also, Show Rule 28.03B does state that a cat will receive the points from only one award per ring, the award with the most points. However, this rule refers to those official awards specified in the show rules, not to unofficial awards, such as these lower champion placements. We should not grant points for unofficial awards. Changing the rules mid-season and based on what occurred at one show would not be advisable. In addition, if we change the method of scoring for this one show, to be fair, we would have to change it for all shows. This means going back and rescoring all shows that have already been held and applying the change to any additional shows that may be held this season. This, I believe, would be a programming issue at central office. Even though we have not had many shows so far, there have been a few where any change could have potentially affected the cats exhibited at them. Finally, only the delegates should decide whether a change to official champion awards or a change in the manner of determining grand points is warranted.
Thank you, Carol. And Monty did respond that central office scored the cats correctly. And as Aline pointed out in an email to the kind folks bringing this to our attention, this is the way it's been done for 30 years. I was a little bit confused by it, and I went through and read the rules, and I agree. And Monty said that the scoring done by central office is the correct interpretation of the show rule. Okay, Rachel Anger, you're recognized.
Thank you. I think we have to all admit that this is a very unique year, and this has just never come up before because we've never had this kind of show. My question is, what would be the cost of reprogramming? There isn't an ending date on this, so I think it's a clarification or a change, permanent change to the rule, not just for this show season.
Yep.
This is Aline.
Yep.
James and I talked about it. We don't have an exact number, James, but I think we talked, it's a pretty major program change.
Yeah. We wanted to kind of flesh out what the details of this was going to be at first, because it could be a major change. And yeah.
So we could be talking $5,000, $10,000. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's the programming, the testing, it's pretty major programming.
Okay. Rachel, anything else?
I just wanted the price tag. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. George Eigenhauser, you're recognized.
Yeah, Carol covered 90% of what I was going to say. I just think it's, a very tiny problem. We've been doing it this way for 30 years. This kind of change ought to come from the delegation, not the board retroactively changing the scoring system in the middle of a show season. So I can't support this.
Okay. Did I get a second on this? I don't remember.
Steve seconds.
Okay. All right. I want to be legal here. Kenny Curley, you're recognized.
Yeah, I think that maybe we should at least look at this for this particular show season. This season has been a total and utter mess. Again, it's going to be a service to our constituents. It doesn't cheapen anything. I've always felt that cats defeated are cats defeated. And, this is an anomaly. We had 74 champions at this Cotton State show. But now we're awarding more points to a specialty ring than an all-breed ring. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And there's so few shows that are going on. If we put a time limit on this, we don't have to worry about the programming cost initially. I think most of this could be done by hand. Hell, they figured it out the day that it was happening. So, but I understand. But we just saved $5,000 by not printing the white pages. So, whatever we have to do to accommodate our constituents, I think that we should do it. It harms nobody, and changing the show rules mid-season is not new to our association.
Okay, Sharon Roy, you're recognized.
Kenny just said just about everything that I was going to say. We haven't had that many shows. It's an unusual situation. These cats really did defeat all these cats, and I think that we owe them the points, and we should bring this proposal up to the delegation next year if we want to make it permanent.
Okay, Pam Mosier, you're recognized.
Yes, I have to say that I agree with Carol and George. I think this is a very bad idea. We're going and changing the show rules again in the middle of a season. I think the delegation needs to bring it up at our next meeting.
Okay. All right, any other comments? Rich Maston, you're recognized.
Yeah, I guess I can go either way on this. It depends on whether or not you count all the shows within this season or you make it effective immediately. I understand where Kenny's coming from, and I do see that there is value to the individuals that are showing their cat. And this is a very strange year. And if we want to reward the customer, then we would consider making this change. If we want to stick to our guns with what the rules have been for 30 years, then we won't make this change. But I think once things settle down and we get back to normal, which could be not next year, next show season, it could take a little bit, it may not be an issue. But as it is right now, it is an issue and it's presented to us, and we do have an opportunity to address this, but we got to do it right. The other thing I'm not so sure about is I'm not even sure that the point structure is right. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. So that leads me to believe maybe we need to look at this with more information. We don't have to rush decision this. We know there's not going to be that many more shows in front of us, and we can definitely go back and count for all the shows that have happened. So I'm really sitting on the fence here.
I'm confused. What do you mean you don't understand if the scoring's done right?
Yeah, I'm not sure that what they're proposing is the 10% is, maybe it's what it should be. I don't know. Who's to say that somebody doesn't come back and want to change it next year?
Well, I think we've had a proposal to decrease this to 5 or 2.5 even in the past.
That's my point.
Yeah, well, but that's not what this is. This is, the question is, are we gonna make this retroactive to the beginning of the show season to change the scoring system in all breed rings so that we score the champions, long hair and short hair, to see if they would get more points in that portion, even though it's not an award recognized by our show rule.
Okay, that's a good point.
Okay, Melanie.
I have a question for James. If we were to do this for this season only, given the fact that we are in an unusual situation, could this be done by hand without any programming changes?
We can make manual adjustments to points, but Aline, yeah.
Just this past weekend, we had 5 shows. You know, if we're adjusting 1 show or maybe 2, but we start manually scoring shows, it's time consuming, errors happen. It's just the wrong thing.
Understood. Thank you. Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
Okay, Kenny, Curly, your hands up.
Yeah, I mean, how are we scoring these super specialty rings right now? I mean, is this any different than and looking at it as a super specialty ring and their placements within an all breed?
Aline, you want to answer that?
Then they should be super specialty rings. I mean, if I guess we could make them super specialty rings, that means there needs to be more finals. I'm not sure, frankly. I mean, essentially, that's what we're asking for. but those finals haven't been made.
Yeah, well, I'm not to interrupt you, Eileen, but I'm only talking about grand points. I'm not talking about, regional points or national points later on in the future. Only in cats defeated for your grand championship points. That is the only thing these people want. And, to me, it's not that difficult to score it as a short or a long hair specialty going into an all breed. You've already got the counts. I mean, how much time does it actually, would it actually take?
Well, if a judge is doing an all breed ring, they're not giving us the finals for a long hair and a short hair. It's an all breed ring.
No, I understand that.
Okay,
But
so if
and you
so,
don't
how are we
always
going
have
to
those. Yeah.
score it properly unless the judges do the complete super specialty?
No, I understand that. I understand that. But
I have a
again,
couple. I'd like to make a couple of comments. I know what you're saying, Kenny, but I'm not the scoring expert. I'm not familiar with the super specialties as much as I used to be. There's a couple of things that should be changed in the show rules if we're going to move in this direction. There's one thing missing from the proposed changes. I just don't know that we should do this on the fly. If that's what we want to talk about doing, is just scoring these all breed rings as super specialty rings, we can look at that. I can't sit here and say, yes, we can do that.
And
I'm not sure that we can when they're not being judged as super specialty rings.
And, there's not always a guarantee that you're going to
Are you
have
on mute, Kenny?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. No, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay. I guess Eileen can't hear me, but
I think you're
no, my point is, I'm not talking about anything but champion points. Champion points, premiership grand points, household pet grand points. You're not going to have 74 champions every single show, but through this unique season, we are having these things come up and we need to help our people out. To me, it's just so unfair to come out of any specialty ring and be penalized for points from cats defeated in the specialty. And now you're in an all breed ring and you end up 8th or 9th best cat and you're getting less points than you would have gotten being in the same specialty ring. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So I think maybe we ought to just try it for this year.
Okay, Pam Mosier, you're recognized.
This is for Eileen or James. If you were to have to make this change with Sonnet to score this, I mean, there's a lot of things that are in the pipeline. How long would this even take them to go in to try to, have time to look at this with all the other things we have going on with them?
Yeah, this would definitely push, if we wanted to do this now, this would push other projects behind. It's, and as far as, I'm seeing the comments about the cost and the programming is already there. You got to understand the programmers we're working with now, they're not the ones that wrote this original programming. A lot of our costs is not the changes, but it's also them looking at the existing code and understanding what the previous programmers put in there. You've got to understand the original recipe before you go changing the ingredients. So that's a big factor there.
Okay, Pam, anything else?
No, thank you.
Carol Krasnowski, you're recognized.
Yes, just based on some of the discussion that I'm hearing, leads me to believe that this is far too confusing and complex. And I go back to what I said before. We should not be making this kind of a change mid-season based on only one show.
Okay, Sharon Roy, you're recognized. Sharon, you're muted.
Sorry, this came up in somebody's chat. What if we asked our judges from now to the end of the show season to do a super specialty? Not that they're going to present it or give out awards for it. That way, when it got to the central office, they would have that on paper to manually do it for the rest of the show season.
Okay, that's a separate issue. So, but I understand the concern. Brian Mosier, you're recognized.
I agree with Carol. We shouldn't be doing this in mid-season. And it's too hard on central office. No matter if Kenny thinks it's easy, it's too hard on central office. So that's how I feel.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of this motion to amend 2802 to make it retroactive to the beginning of the season to separate the specialties in the all breed finals. Please raise your hand if you're in favor of this. Okay, the yes votes are Kenny Curley and Sharon Roy. If you'll take your hands down, all those opposed. So I have Brian Mosier, Pam Delabar, Steve McCullough, George Eigenhauser, Carol Krasnowski, Melanie Morgan, Kathy Calhoun, Pam Mosier, Rich Maston, Cindy Bird, John Colella, Kathy Dunham. Howard, how are you voting?
I was asleep.
Howard. Okay, we'll put Howard down as not voting. Any abstentions? Okay, Rachel, will you announce the vote, please?
Well, I abstained, and I'm
Oh.
sorry, those were going too fast for me to catch all the no votes. I have 2 yes votes, 1 abstention, and that would leave 13 no votes.
Okay, did you vote Howard not voting?
That would be 12 no votes,
Okay,
and 1
all right.
did not vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the motion is not agreed to. All right. Okay, so our next order is business is, the Grand Point reduction, that's withdrawn. And now we'll move on to 20. And Melanie, that's a split season kittens. That's your motion.
Okay, thank you. I was asked to bring this back at this meeting, so that's what I'm doing. We passed an exception, I think back in October, for 3 split season kittens based on the fact that we were suspending regional wins for the year, for the season. Now that those regional wins have been reinstated, there really was no reason to have singled those kittens out. And given the fact that central office has not yet finalized the awards for those 3 kittens, we have the opportunity to basically put things back the way they were. So I have an action item here. I think either way, we're fine in that one way or another, these 3 kittens will be awarded their titles. But just for the sake of closing the loop, the action item is for those split season, for those split season kitten 2019/2020, 2020/2021 kittens who have earned enough points to meet or exceed the points earned by the 25th best kitten in the 2019/2020 season will be scored and awarded their regional win title if applicable in the 2020/21 season.
Okay, Ellen, would you scroll up so we can see that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's my only issue. We made exceptions for placing those kittens in the last season. Okay, so that we wouldn't bump anybody out of getting a regional win. Now we're going to bring them into this season. We're going to knock 3 kittens in this season out. That's the only issue I see with this. So I need a second for the action item.
Rachel seconds with the right to vote no.
Okay. All right, Rachel. Okay, Pam Delabar, you're recognized.
If we brought this forward, actually, I would have more kittens receiving regional awards, even though they weren't shown at any time during the show season on these split kittens. As it stood originally, there was one, and that's what was announced to them. They were expecting their regional win. That kitten, based upon what we had, would be, of course, the best kitten in region 9 if we put them in place right now. We need to stick with our original decision on this and not go any further.
Okay. Cindy Bird, you're recognized.
Sorry.
Cindy, are you there?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with my clicking. I forgot to lower my hand.
Oh, okay. All right. George Eigenhauser, you're recognized.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about the way this is worded too. I know the purpose of this motion. The purpose of this motion is to undo the previous motion we made that pushed this season's split season kittens into last year. But this says those kittens are going to be judged, are going to be scored this year based on the points earned by the 25th kitten last year. If we hadn't pushed them back into last year and would have left them in this year, they would have been scored against the 25th best kitten in this year. So this does not undo our previous motion exactly. It creates a hybrid where the 2019-2020 kittens are going to get their awards in this season based on what the awards were last season. And so it's kind of neither nor.
Okay. Anything else, George?
Nope.
Okay, Rachel Enger, you're recognized.
Exactly, George. And to take it one step further, these kittens are in limbo. How many are there? 3 or 4?
3.
Three? I don't think there's a right answer. This is no better or no worse than what we had. So I applaud Melanie for coming up with something. I don't know if it's the right something, but what we have, I don't think is the right something either.
Okay, Kathy Dunham, you're recognized.
I have to agree with Pam Delabar. In my region, I was not one of the 3 kittens that was part of the motion previously, but in looking at my standings, I would now have kittens that would be ranked based on the point minimums that we agreed to for this show season. So I'm going to have kittens that never hit a show hall at all that are now going to get ranked. So based on this action item, I don't know that I can support it the way it is.
Okay, Sharon Roy, you're recognized.
Yes, Kathy Dunham's correct. And there actually would be more kittens from last show season making regional wins. And like Pam, the one from my region would actually turn out to be best kitten.
Okay, Melanie Morgan, you're recognized.
To be clear, the way that we have voted on this so far, to my understanding, and I've double checked this with central office, we separated out 3 kittens who would have qualified based off the point levels from last year. We did not preclude the remaining kittens from being eligible for regional wins if they are indeed split season kittens. Right now, those split season kittens that have points on the table who never showed in this hybrid season are still eligible for regional wins. The only ones who are not eligible for those split season awards for this season are the 3 kittens that we took away. So for those of you who are saying that you're going to have more regional wins, those kittens are still eligible. If you've got a kitten out there with over 200 points or whatever the minimum was we voted on, now that we've reinstated regional wins, if they're a split season kitten, we have not voted to take them out of this season. The only 3 kittens that we took out were the 3 that met the 25th best from last season.
Okay, that's a good point, Melanie. Kathy Dunham,
Sorry.
Sharon Roy, Sharon, did you take your hand down or did you want to speak?
No, I took my hand down.
Okay, I'm sorry. So, all right, is there any more discussion, Pam Delabar?
We all know this is a very strange year. We decided to award those split season kittens, the three, and we decided that, I think, at the October board meeting. Recognizing the others based upon the points for this year would put them at the top. Something, guys, just doesn't hit me as being fair. It's I don't like the split season kitten concept to begin with on these for these very reasons. When when these things situations come up, I feel that we ought to stick with our original what we were doing with the three, leave the awards as they were, and go on with our season now. They won't have a chance to ever be shown as kittens for this season. They've all aged out.
Okay, Pam, but if I understand correctly, we put those three split season kittens that qualified, we gave them regional wins based in last year.
That is correct.
And Melanie is saying that the ones that didn't get moved that are split season kittens are going to be scored in this show season. Aline, is that correct?
Okay, can you hear me? I think I'm using my.
Yes. Yep, I can hear you.
So I believe what happened is in November, we were going to award those three kittens, the RW, the split season. Because we weren't scoring for regional awards, then we came back in November, we decided to score for regional wins, and we were putting those split season kittens in as split season kittens. They would just fall where they do.
Yes, except the three that we awarded for last season.
I thought we rescinded that. I thought we.
No, that's what this motion is.
Okay, I thought in November we rescinded that scoring of these.
We rescinded the regional win scoring, but that's different than these three regional kittens.
Daryl?
It's just a side effect of what this is here is Melanie is saying that since we reinstituted the regional wins, all those split season kittens that would have finished this year are now going to be scored.
Right.
Okay, and some of them may have a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
And Pam is saying that's an unfair advantage over the ones that are competing now. Is that right, Pam?
That's correct. But the other dichotomy to this whole thing is that we have two different standards of which we are judging these kittens against. We had point values for the 2019-2020 show season. Now we have a much reduced points, minimum points that we're requiring for this year. So that bumps up more kittens coming in from the split season who won't be shown this season that are actually cutting out those who are being shown this show season.
Okay. Well, I mean, just my overview of what you've been saying is if we change what we've already done, we're going to create more issues than we solve. Okay, anyone else want to debate before I call the question? Okay, so the item is that we will take away those 3 regional wins and put them in this season. Is that the motion, Melanie?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of this action item, raise your hand. Okay. So the yes votes are Pam Delabar, Sharon Roy, Melanie Morgan. Oh, Pam Delabar took her hand down. Okay. The yes votes are Sharon Roy, Melanie Morgan, John Kalila, Carol Krasnowski, Kathy Calhoun. Thank you. Take your hands down. And the no votes, please raise your hands.
Howard votes no.
Okay, thank you, Howard. All right, the no votes are Howard, George Eigenhauser, Rich Maston, Pam Mosier, Cindy Bird, Kathy Dunham, Rachel Anger, Pam Delabar, Kenny Curley, and Steve McCullough.
And Brian, my raised hand didn't work.
Okay, Brian Mosier is a no. Okay, Rachel, will you announce the vote, please?
Do you want to call the abstentions? I don't know if we have any, but
Oh, yeah, any abstentions? Thank you for reminding me that. No abstentions.
Pam Delabar, were you a no vote?
Correct, I was a no vote.
Okay, there we go. 5-1. So we had 5 yes votes, 11 no votes, 0 abstentions.
Okay, so the motion is not agreed to. So thank you, Melanie, for bringing that back.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on to unfinished business and general orders. Is there any unfinished business that we need to bring back up?
I just want to clarify something, Daryl. So with
Yep.
those 3 split season kittens,
Yep.
they are getting the RW title, correct?
They are, as we voted on before, they will stay in last season. So you'll need to make those awards to them.
All right.
Okay. Any, can you scroll up, Eileen, and we'll.
Now there's nothing there.
Okay, nothing there. Nothing on in any other committee reports? Nothing there. Okay, new business. Kathy Calhoun, you have an item that you want to bring up.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think part of this has been addressed earlier in conversation, but I think starting with the second thing, the late reporting management and communication, at least in the past, we've been, in the course of doing business, we've allowed reports to come in late, as Rachel had mentioned, and typically what would happen if a person was submitting their report late, they would copy the entire board for distribution purposes. So it would kind of alleviate Rachel from having to do that and get it out in front of the board. And for this meeting, that way of doing business changed. My concern is that I don't believe, as far as I'm aware of, that there was any consensus driving the change or consensus with the change or communication of the change until people were in violation. So I think the bottom line is that we need to agree upon a process and make sure that everyone is aware of it.
Okay, that's fine, Kathy. But Rachel, did you get her November 25th email about the reports?
Yes.
Okay, and at the very bottom of that, she said the deadline is today. This is a reminder.
Yes.
Your reports must be received so that she can do the combined report and she can pull the agenda together.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you set up deadlines for your budget committee, is that correct?
Yes.
And do
And when
you,
people, if people submit a budget request late, we honor it.
okay, well, that's fine. That's your committee. I'm trying to run the board meeting, and I don't want a lot of extra work created by Rachel. I think that if you want to change the deadline to the day before,
Daryl,
I have no dog in the fight, okay? I don't want to create a whole lot of extra work for Rachel.
Daryl, I believe that the emails that have been sent out before with the timelines had the word in a deadline. The difference is in this particular case that the deadlines meant that that your motion or your report was not to be considered as normal business. It would be new business. That is a change that at least I was not aware of. And I think, as people have voiced earlier in this meeting, that we need to just make sure there's clarity in the communication. This is not a personal thing about your management style. This is just about a process.
Well, I think we need Rachel to give her input if she wants to take late reports up until we got a brand new combined report this morning for tonight's meeting. I don't care. All I do is I print out the agenda. I have it right here, and I go down each item here. We set the orders of business. If we need to, we change them. This all started because of one board member sent a unformatted request into Rachel, and Rachel copied me. I told the person that it didn't meet the timeline. He needs to put it in the correct format so that Rachel can put it in, and that if he wanted to, he was free to bring it up under new business. Rich sent his report in. It got in after the closing. I was not aware that Rich and Rachel had an agreement that he could send the report in late. That was not communicated to me. Okay. So that's why I said that since it came in late, it could be presented under new business. The only thing about putting it in new business is it's not pre-noticed and requires 2/3 vote. However the board wants to handle the business and the extra work you put on Rachel, if she agrees to it, I have no problem. You can bring it up 5 minutes before the board meeting. All I'm going to do is sit here and read off and call on who needs to present their report. And then when people raise their hand, call on them to debate and then call the motions. That's what I want to do.
Daryl, to be clear,
Yeah.
I am not suggesting that reports and the deadline be a short period of time or 5 minutes or one day before the meeting and cause all of this havoc on Rachel's plate. The only thing that I am suggesting is that we have clarity so that everyone understands how this is being handled. So if it says that it's a deadline, perhaps the statement below said that reports received after the deadline would be considered new business, if that's what we agree to.
Okay. Well, I don't, however the board wants to do it. Rachel, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you. As far as any reports that came in after the deadline, there wasn't a private agreement between us. It's just the way it's always been done. Much of this hinged on Shelley's ruling about what makes a motion a pre-notice motion? What is a pre-notice report? And I think we've gotten some good clarity on that tonight that will help us move forward. That did seem to imply that we have, seem to define that we have the ability to decide among ourselves what a deadline would be. Is it a hard and fast deadline? From my position as the person that puts all this together, every board meeting is hectic before it. So, this is not going to make it not hectic. It's something I love to do. I don't mind doing. So basically my position is that whatever best serves the board and serves CFA, I'm willing to do. I have no problem with that. Shelley has shown us that we do have the ability to take reports a little bit later. But that having been said, I think a hard and fast deadline is a great idea, and anything after that will come under new business. However, in the end, it's all going to wash out the exact same. So, like I said about the one report, it just made sense to put it where I put it. It was already on the agenda, so I inserted the report under that order of the day. And I'm looking for direction. That's my opinion and how I feel. I really appreciate Daryl speaking up for me on this position, and I'm completely open to whatever the board decides.
Okay, Melanie Morgan, you're recognized.
I think we all really, really appreciate and have come to count on the compiled reports that Rachel puts together. That said, I think Kathy brings up a really good point when we're talking about timelines. With having meetings as frequently as we are now, I think Rachel is pretty much just going from preparing for one meeting to preparing to another. That said, when the meetings are not a surprise to any of us. So it seems to me, from my personal point of view, that if we could set guidelines for deadlines and have them be a little bit earlier than they've currently been, it would be really helpful, because getting a compiled report, which is what I prefer to do because it takes so long to open up each individual file in File Vista. And this last time when I opened up some of them, they were all read and marked out. But getting a compiled report, 24 to 48 hours before the meeting, if I have anything going on in my life, I basically got to drop it. If I really want to prepare for the meeting, which is what I like to do because we're trying to do our best for CFA, it becomes somewhat of a hardship. So if we could set these deadlines and try to adhere to them, get our reports in earlier so that Rachel's not having to drop everything and do the same, I think it would make all of our lives easier.
Yes, and I agree with you, and that's exactly why I said that the reports that came in after the deadline, I'm not trying to say they can't be brought up. I'm just asking that they be put under new business, and that way they would be brought up at the meeting. If you want to send it ahead of time, that's okay, but it would be not pre-notice, because it should be received by Rachel and put in the combined report that we all get to see. If we don't want to do that, I don't care. All right. That's all I'm saying. Cindy Bird, you're recognized.
I have served on and served many boards. And I think Rachel does yeoman's work. I think we need to support her in having an actual deadline, and anyone who submits a late report can go to new business. I don't think we can expect her to just put up at will whatever we happen to get late. And I'm not calling out Rich because he's a wonder, but I think we should follow the deadlines.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so Kathy, it's your topic. You want to make a motion?
So I have another point to make.
Okay.
Because I don't want, I agree that Rachel does a yeoman's job. And this is no criticism on Rachel whatsoever. So I want to be clear on that. And I'm just going to say, I really don't care either if the deadline means that new reports go into new business. What I do, my concern, I'm going to say again, is that how we've done business in the past was not like that. And if it has changed and the board wants it to change, then we just all need to know that. So I will make a motion that all reports received after the deadline, 5 p.m. on the given date, if they be considered new business, and everybody knows it.
George will
Steve second.
All right, I'll take George. I heard him first. Is there any debate on Kathy's motion? That Shelley, go ahead.
I actually just have a question. My computer blipped out. Can you restate that motion, Kathy?
I said that, I may paraphrase a bit, but what I said is that all reports that come in after the assigned deadline at 5 p.m. on a given date, so I'm talking about date and time, be considered new business.
And by be considered new business, do you mean not pre-noticed?
Not pre-noticed.
And then what, are we setting a deadline in this motion?
There's no deadline because any new business can be brought up.
I'm talking about the deadline, the initial deadline that you're passing by.
Well, that's stated in Rachel's report or email when she seeks the committee reports and the board of directors.
So may I suggest, okay, yeah. So one of the things that I would like to suggest also is that those deadlines for reports be published for every meeting now. And it's easily done, like in an Excel file, and I created one. I'd be happy to share this little tool with Rachel, but she probably doesn't need me to do that, but I'd be happy to do that. That's it. And basically what I put in there, here's the board meeting, 10 days before is the agenda, 8 days before the report, 5 days before is the consolidated report that Rachel sends back to us. And it would be the same, that Excel file will generate a date for all of this to infinity if you wanted to. And that way, Rachel would not have to, she could actually just send this Excel file out once a month as a refresher, but she wouldn't have to do that work. And everybody would have it and they would know now what their deadlines are.
Rachel, you want to comment on that?
Sure. I already have that program. It's a thing that sets up for depositions, so I can.
Okay.
So Rachel, are you okay with this motion that reports that come in after the deadline will be presented as new business and not pre-noticed?
Yes. So they would require a 2/3 vote.
That's correct.
Yes.
Shelley?
Well, I have a couple of different points. The first point is you're literally taking any kind of emergency ability away and turning it into a 2/3 vote instead of a majority. And so if things do come up, which we just had a lot of issues, you're getting pretty far out from the time of your meeting when you have to have these things in, so that if something does come up and people really want to add it, they're not able to. I think you're also defining notice to be a really long period of time in that. I think it defeats the idea of what notice actually is in terms of a motion on the floor. A notice is supposed to be people are not surprised and not sitting here thinking we know what the agenda is and suddenly, oh no, I don't know what the agenda, I can't believe someone brought up this motion, I wasn't prepared. And so I feel like by giving it that long of a window, you've redefined notice to give a really long period of time that's not normally expected. And so that would be my input. The board can do whatever they want, but then I think you're getting into an argument about, well, everyone really had notice. This was pre-notice because I sent it to everybody. And so I don't have a problem with you defining notice as it makes the agenda. But that's not the only way that notice occurs in reality. And so it's just that when the agenda came out at the beginning of the meeting and you voted on it and agreed and adopted it, that assumes that pre-notice has occurred. But
yes.
Thanks.
Yes. Cindy Bird?
I agree with Shelley, of course, but I think we need to think about who are we pre-noticing. So in today's example with Rich's agenda item, we were pre-noticed because it was in the agenda. and our audience, our constituents were pre-noticed because it was in the agenda. If someone brings up something during the meeting, which is then new business, that's not pre-noticed. So we need to decide, I think, based on the workload of Rachel, what we want to go into the agenda, which is maybe different than what's pre-notice. What Shelley's definition of pre-notice for us is. So I think there's a difference between Rachel establishing the agenda and having her life in control and what's pre-notice for our agenda.
Okay, Kenny Curley.
Yeah, Kelly brought up the exact same point that I had spoken about at previous board meetings, is the ability of us as a business to react to things that come up, on a day-to-day basis, that we do need to have, some ability to act on these issues. So, particularly from a business standpoint, we can't wait 30 days to make decisions in a lot of cases. But I understand what Kathy's trying to do, the clarification, because it is different, than what a lot of us are used to in this way to do business, and to stay in contact with our constituents. So I don't know if there's a better plan out there for us, but whatever the board decides to do and whatever everybody is comfortable with, I'll support.
Rachel Anger.
Thanks. That is a point. And to clarify it further, the agenda just says something's coming up. It doesn't really notice what the something is. It says, whatever committee is going to be having a report. A true pre-notice would be if we shared what the motions are going to be. And to take that one step further, the most ideal pre-notice would be to send the compiled report document to all of our constituents so they can see also. But, this is a huge document. It's 50, 100 pages. And how many people are going to actually read that? And of the attendees here, I think there's 3 that are fans of the minutes that actually read them all. So, how much pre-notice do we want to give and what defines pre-notice? I think that's what we need to know.
Okay, Shelley. Okay. George, you had your hand up. Did you want to say something?
No, sorry, my hand is down because it's down.
Okay, all right. Okay, so Kathy, you want to restate your motion so that we know what we're voting on?
So my motion is that reports that are received after the deadline, the agenda deadline, both date and time, will be considered in new business.
Okay. All right. And somebody, George, are you the one, or Steve, I think, was the one that seconded that? Is that correct?
You said George, Daryl.
I tried to, but I don't know who you caught.
Okay. All right. So let's vote on Kathy's motion. All those in favor, please raise your hands.
Votes yes.
Okay, Howard votes yes. And we have Pam Delabar. These are the yeses, Rachel. Howard, Pam Delabar, Cindy Bird, Sharon Roy, George Eigenhauser, Kathy Dunham, Carol Krasnowski, Steve McCullough, John Kalila, Melanie Morgan, Brian Mosier, Kathy Calhoun, Rich Maston, Kenny Curley, and Pam Mosier. All right, if everybody will take your hand down. All right, and those voting no? And I think we have one abstention. Okay. All right, Rachel, if you can announce the vote.
15 yes votes, 1 abstention, 0 no votes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the motion is agreed to. Thank you, Kathy, for bringing that up.
Okay, can I add one more thing, just
Sure.
very quickly? So Rachel, since you have that tool that you can get the timelines out for them, so everybody can kind of plan their lives around getting these dates, can you kind of go out maybe a couple of meetings out and just provide the dates?
Okay, she's shaking her
Yes,
head yes.
I'll put them in the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you,
George-
Rachel.
George here.
Go ahead, George.
One comment kind of concluding this is something that should probably be in the board members guidebook.
Yes.
So I would encourage its inclusion.
Okay, Pam Delabar, you
So
make note of
noted,
that.
so
Thank you
noted.
so much. Shelley Perkins, your hand's up.
So the motion that passed was reports received after the deadline will be considered new business. And does that, by saying will be considered new business, is the board defining that to mean that they are considered not pre-noticed?
Correct.
Because, okay.
Correct.
Right, Kathy?
Correct. Yes,
Yes,
that is
that's-
correct.
Okay, all right. Melanie Morgan?
I'm good. Never mind.
Oh, you're good? Okay. All right, anything else before we adjourn and go into closed session? Okay, so it's 8:13 here, 11:13 on the East Coast. The meeting is adjourned. So everyone, please sign back in under the link that Aline provided for closed session. Thank you, everybody. Good night. And
Good night.
good night to all the attendees. Thank you for watching your board in action.